Can you hear me? Present. Here,
Okay.
I'm here.
Councilman Gwynn is excused. Councilman Burke,
Present.
Councilman Siddiq,
Yes.
Councilwoman Faralia. I think she might be excused. Councilman Barnett,
Here.
Councilman Wagner,
Here.
and Council President Wentz will join us when she can. And we also have our Honorable Mayor Keffer and CAO Vincent Mangione and Solicitor Richardson and Solicitor Carol Kane. And our financial person, Gary Marone. Don't forget the rules of decorum. Upper Darby Township Council and residents will maintain professional respect for each other. Council encourage free speech. However, civility is required, which would prohibit threats, profanity, scandalous, impertinent, and redundant comment, or any comment that discernible purpose of which is to disrupt or prevent the conduct of business of the meeting. So the purpose of this meeting is for the Financial and Appropriation Committee. The chairs is Robert Gwynn, who is excused, Matt Silva. Members are Danielle Blackwell and Brian Burke.
Thank you, Council Secretary. I guess I will stand in as the co-chair of that committee, and then it's my understanding then that this is for us to just have a public hearing about the budget. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. Is there any public comment on the budget that we would be listening to, or is this just a deliberative period for council?
It's just for council.
This is a public hearing on the budget and public comment would be accepted. However, no public comments were received.
Thank you, Allison.
Okay. All right. Well, then let me open the floor to any council members who would like to have any public comment on the budget at this time.
Councilman Wagner.
Yeah, I'm just going to make an observation. This is not a criticism of anybody. It's simply an observation that I think we all need to think about and figure out going forward. To the point that Mr. Silva was just asking about, yes, the purpose of this meeting now is to allow an opportunity for members of the public to speak about the budget. And it happens we don't have any tonight. And that has nothing to do with our procedures here. I don't think. It's just nobody chose to comment. However, I think as a body, we could fairly be criticized for conducting this public hearing and giving that opportunity to the public after 11 p.m. at night. Again, this is not a criticism. It's nobody's fault. I'm simply placing this on the table for us to think about, perhaps at another time. Perhaps our Rules and Procedures Committee should take it up or something. But I think in future years, we should find ways to see that these hearings are taking place at a better hour, a more reasonable hour. That sounds like a criticism. It's really not intended that way. I'm just suggesting council ought to think about that. That's all.
Thank you.
I mean,
I don't think it's criticism. Thank you.
it's sort of my understanding too, though, that like it wouldn't be a public comment like submitted at this time. It would have been they would have been submitting public comment like via email over an extended period.
Well,
So-
Matt, that's only true because of the COVID circumstances that we have. Hopefully, we won't be in the middle of that next year.
Right.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So in the future, then maybe we would try to have these meetings earlier in the day when people would be more likely to be able to attend them.
Maybe that, or we adopt some kind of a rule where if our regular meeting is going long, we stop it perhaps at 8 o'clock or 8:30 and conduct the public hearing on the budget and then go back to the rest of our meeting. I don't know what the answer is. I'm simply drawing attention to the,
You're making an observation. I get it. I understand. Hold on, Council President Wentz. Councilman Barnett.
Yes, thank you. And, I certainly agree with the comments made by Councilman Wagner. I was going to say something along those lines as well. And perhaps, like we have done in previous hearings, previous years, is that we would actually conduct these hearings under an appropriate committee, in this case, the Finance Committee. And we could do it in the course of a meeting, to be early in the process during the meeting, and just take it in stride, not necessarily have a special set aside meeting for it, but perhaps to advertise it as part of our regular meeting if Mr. Kilkenny would support that as a.
No, that could, Councilor Barnett, that could be done that way in other municipal agencies and townships do it that way that I represent.
Good, thank you. So that'd be one way that I would add could be considered to be able to do it at an earlier hour and during the course of a meeting. And maybe our next week, we try to do that.
CAO?
Yeah, I think the point is well made, and I agree. And correct me if I'm wrong, Council President Wentz, but I think next week, the public hearing on the budget is actually scheduled for before the meeting. So it will take place much earlier. So it doesn't fully address the issue, but it is at least something.
No, we had originally scheduled it that way, but since we could not vote on the public hearing or vote on the budget due to advertising constraints, it is scheduled for after the meeting, but it was advertised being 5 minutes after the meeting. And based on some of our considerations as far as the home rule charter, it appeared we had to have it as a separate entity from council meetings, which is the reason why it was done that way. So we can look into that and do more research into that for future, but it was after the meeting.
Excuse me, Council President Wentz, I don't believe that's actually how it was advertised. I believe
It was not.
No.
Okay, so, okay. We'll look into it. We'll get clarification before the meeting. It got changed, and I thought it had gotten advertised for 5 minutes after. So I'll check into it. Okay. And just for the clarification, I know, I'm sorry, I was late coming back in. My tablet died. The people had opportunity to weigh in on public comment or the public.
And there was none.
yeah, I get it.
There was no public comments, Laura.
There was no public comment. So if there was no public comment and council comment,
Can I make a motion to adjourn?
yeah.
Okay,
I guess that's the $1 million question, right?
yeah. Well,
I think there are
Motion
11
to
motions to
adjourn?
adjourn.
second,
All right, Laura's battery died, so.
yeah.
Okay, all right. So, I believe,
Thank you, guys.
thank you all. Have an excellent night.
Have a good night.
Yeah.